We've got a lot of guys like Jordan Love and a handful of other players who got paid this offseason. The Trent Williams and the Brandon Aiyuks of the world, they want to join that list, but the 49ers tackle, he's holding out. The wide receiver is holding in at training camp. Head coach Kyle Shanahan yesterday was asked about Aiyuk.
I think it's good when any of these guys have the business part of the contracts going on and everything. I think it's always good to not get too far away from football. At least he can be with his teammates, hear meetings, get some work with the strength and conditioning coaches, things like that. And so hopefully when things work out, it just makes a little bit of a smoother transition.
For much more on the 49ers, Jeremy Fowler joins us now from Santa Clara. Jeremy, what's the latest on the Aiyuk hold-in?
Brandon Aiyuk was incognito on the 49ers practice field. I spotted him sitting away from the action in a red golf cart, black hat, black hoodie, watching his quarterback Brock Purdy throw the football. So the 49ers are at a standstill here. I'm told they have zero interest in trading him. They do value him, just not at that ballooning $30+ million a year wide receiver market that we're seeing. So they have to find a sweet spot there. They've shown the ability to pay star players in the past. They got Nick Bosa done last year in early September, so this could take some time. While Aiyuk holds in, Trent Williams continues to hold out. The 36-year-old wants a new deal, and I'm told he's got conviction on this because it was clear he wanted a deal months ago, didn't get done, and now the 49ers are in a position where they have to prioritize one star above the other. If they pay Aiyuk or Williams first, the other could feel a way about it. So they now have some egos to manage as well.
Back here with D. Wood, I want to go with you specifically. When you look at Williams, doesn't have any guaranteed contract money anymore coming in, scheduled to make just over $20 million. How important is it for this offense to get him in the building and continue to protect Brock Purdy?
Kevin is huge. We heard this offseason Jim Harbaugh talk about offensive linemen. He said there are offensive weapons. Well, guess what? Trent Williams is an offensive weapon. He's the best left tackle in the game still, even at this age. And I don't know if people have taken a look at this San Francisco offensive line. Outside of Trent Williams, it's not really a great offensive line, but Trent Williams, because of his mastery and just his sheer athletic ability, really elevates that whole unit. So it would do the San Francisco 49ers a lot of good to get that man sweeten his contract and get him in the mix because they need him in the worst way.
Yeah, Damien, let's kind of do the good news, bad news side of this. I think the bad news side is fairly straightforward. He's not practicing with this team as things currently stand. And as you just said, he's a more indispensable player than Brandon Aiyuk. Even though Brandon Aiyuk is an incredible wide receiver, this San Francisco offense has long thrived with interchangeable skill position players. Trent Williams might be the best offensive lineman in the entire NFL. The good news is this. Because of the fact that he's got 3 more years remaining, I think this deal is easier to find common ground on than what they're currently dealing with Brandon Aiyuk. This has been a months-long saga for Aiyuk. I think the 49ers can guarantee at least the money for this season due to Trent Williams and perhaps tack on a few extra million as well to get him back in line with the top of the offensive tackle market and get him back on the field sooner than later. I'll also note this. D. Wood, you can certainly confirm this. Trent Williams, one of the oldest left tackles in the league. You think he's bummed about missing a few training camp practices? That guy ain't bothered a bit, and he doesn't need many of them to get back to his usual form.
That is a fair point, considering what their long-term goals are.
That's a great point.
Keep him healthy. But we've got the holding guy as well, Jeff. What do you think of this Aiyuk situation? And will we have any movement? Are you hearing any movement?
Quite frankly, no. I sense no movement. And of course, the longer it goes, the more pressure on Aiyuk, given some of the fines that are incurred on the player, but also the team and his potential absence. Now, to Fields' points, though, we're talking about 2 different situations. One, a person who showed he was disgruntled throughout the offseason, but that prepared the 49ers for this moment, this expectation, whereas Trent Williams really wasn't griping at all. In fact, went to minicamp and then suddenly just didn't show up for training camp. So suddenly sets off some more alarms. To Fields' point, we're talking with Trent Williams about a player who you can sweeten his deal. With Brandon Aiyuk, he is looking for the life-changing contract that he is ultimately owed, but perhaps the one that the 49ers are not yet willing to give.
And I think people need to understand how complicated this situation can be for a few factors, one of which is the exploding wide receiver market, right, Kev? It's possible improbable that CeeDee Lamb gets a deal done with the Dallas Cowboys. If it does get done, I suspect it'll be in the neighborhood of what Justin Jefferson got, which is $35 million per year from the Minnesota Vikings. All of a sudden, you're going to have a player in Justin Jefferson at the top of the market that Brandon Newton's going to say, I want something like that, right? I don't think the 49ers are going to get to that range. But the other sort of data point you got to keep in mind is that Deebo Samuel is making $24 million per year. And Jeremy kind of alluded to this. If all of a sudden Brandon Aiyuk gets $29 million per year in a long-term contract, what's Deebo going to say next? As we know, these deals are all tied to each other, and sometimes the action of one franchise for a player can spur further action from a different franchise because these wide receivers to the top of the market all believe they should be paid at the very top of the market.
Keep in mind, Deebo's deal expires after 2025. Same thing with Kittle, his contract. And the price tag for Brock Purdy continues to go up, and it's going to be due as he's scheduled to make just over $1 million this upcoming season. All right.